Mr. Chair, before I discuss the details of my amendment, I want to applaud the new Republican majority for giving members the opportunity to offer amendments in a more open process. The People's House has been broken for far too long, and I look forward to working with my colleagues in an open process for the remainder of this Congress. I also want to thank Chairman McMorris Rodgers for her leadership on this issue to put American energy first. I co-sponsored this legislation because I believe it puts America back on track to regain energy independence. This is such an important issue and critical piece of legislation that I believe we cannot stop short. We need to chart a path back to energy independence and ensure President Biden is not able to sell our critical oil supplies to China or any other rogue nations. President Biden used emergency authorities to sell hundreds of millions of barrels of oil to our enemies. My amendment would prevent President Biden from claiming an emergency to further reduce our strategic oil supplies. This is why I filed impeachment articles last Congress against President Biden on the grounds that he endangered, compromised, and undermined the energy security of the United States by selling oil from the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve to foreign nations. President Biden has demonstrated that he will remain a threat to the national security of our country. No president in the history of the United States has ordered a liquidation of the SPR on this scale. He sold 40% of our critical oil supply to trick and deceive the American people before the election. Rather than unleashing American energy here at home, he has robbed our country. While President Biden took office in 2021, the SPR contained 638 million barrels of oil. Since then, he has slashed our oil inventory to 371 million barrels. He has decimated the SPR to the lowest level since December 1983, before some members of this body were even born. He shredded the offers from oil companies to resupply the reserve. He gave away 7 million barrels of oil to a communist Chinese state-run energy firm. The CCP had 1.2 billion barrels when Biden took office. They have even more now. Cannot believe our president did that. If we let President Biden continue to run our oil this way, we will have nothing left. This has destroyed America's oil production. President Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, destroying hundreds of thousands of American jobs. President Biden has allowed the least amount of federal land for drilling since the end of World War II. We are now producing 1 million barrels of oil less every day compared to when President Trump was in office. Every country faces national disasters. Where will we get our oil next time we are in crisis? Who will we have to beg to get our oil? China? Iran? The Saudis? Venezuela, like the Biden administration has already done? Or maybe even Russia? President Biden's actions prove an intentional plot to destroy America's oil industry and usher in the climate cult's Green New Deal. My amendment would simply strike the exceptions that Biden used to sell our oil. The American people don't believe that the president should have the authority to declare an emergency for any reason and then sell our oil to our enemies. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment, and I yield back.